Sylvanas' redemption is something that has been one of the most controversial World of Warcraft speculations, and honestly rightfully so. However, at this point we have more information than ever. First, the progression from 9.1 to 9.2 and the latest Shattered Legacy cinematic, as well as various data mined in-game cinematics, but also all the quest lines and all the spoilers. I have previously covered some of these spoilers, but be warned, there are new ones here as well in regards to Nathanos, the actual quest line, the main one where Sylvanas plays a role, and a bunch of other things happen in her future storyline. So what will ultimately happen with Sylvanas? Is she actually going to be redeemed? Will she sacrifice herself, become the Lich Queen, or just be tried and be done with? Collect champions and lead them into battles, all right in your pocket with Raid Shadow Legends. Use my QR code or the links below to download the game both for your phone and your PC. Raid just released the newest and the craziest boss so far, the Hydra, a giant beast with many heads and each head a battle of its own. There's the Head of Suffering, the tricky one, the Head of Blight, the poison one, the Head of Torment that uses fear, Head of Mischief, Chaos itself, the Head of Decay that slowly weakens your team, and the Head of Wrath, the angry side of the Hydra. All combined make for a very interesting battle. What I like about Raid is there are a million champions to collect and the new updates are constantly released. Right now they're giving away Simple, the esports player, but only if you log in or join until January 28th. And on top of that, there is a ton of new festive activities and events. If you wanna start right, use my link on the QR code and all new players will get an epic hero, Rector Drat, 200k silver, 1 XP boost, 1 energy refill, 1 ancient shard to summon champions immediately. Rewards will be right here for the next 30 days only, so see you in-game. I wanna start this off with the analysis of Sylvanas as a character and the latest cinematic Shattered Legacies, which I made a reaction to, but that was more like a first impressions type thing. Now, recently people have been coming up with really detailed analysis of this cinematic, making it seem like this is some type of Dostoevsky masterpiece and, you know, not just Blizzard making stuff up on the fly, but it isn't all that bad. There is a lot of nuance behind her as a character. However, there are some really glaring issues that make this entire thing confusing and that really hint that she will ultimately be redeemed at the end of the Shadowlands, or that a soft type of redemption will be happening. So, as you all remember, back in Warcraft 3, Sylvanas was a pretty defiant and honorable character that defended Quel'Thalas, fought until the bitter end, and was ultimately defeated and raised as a banshee by Arthas. For a while, she was a mindless servant, then broke free, created her own faction, the Forsaken, and then had the goal to defeat the Lich King. After the death of Arthas back in Wrath of the Lich King, she lost her purpose and threw herself off the Frozen Throne, but returned to life for undead life. This was the original storyline, but Blizzard recently just shoehorned the Jailer into this entire thing and essentially rewrote a huge part of her lore, making it seem like this was the time when she made a pact with him and that she was essentially his servant ever since. However, as we've learned recently with one of the latest books, she was pretty much a servant since she was raised by Frostmourne, she just didn't fully know about it. Now, here's the thing, Frostmourne split souls and Uther, as you may know, is one of the main victims. However, this isn't really all that simple. Sure, the souls are split into two halves, but it isn't black and white as if now we have a pure and an angelic and an evil side, but it's more like the compassionate part of the soul is trapped in time while the other bit is left to continue, generally the not so virtuous bit. Now, I know people have been making crazy parallels here, talking about strong emotions, disappointment, rage, making it seem like this is genius level of writing, but the reality is that I don't even know if Blizzard knows where they're going exactly with this, and they have made this purposefully vague so that they can move the story in whichever direction they want to. As we had seen in the latest Shattered Legacy cinematic, the Ranger General was essentially stuck in time, and the Banshee continued and did all this terrible stuff. Now, the entire thing with this is that Sylvanas always had this big plan that no one understood, and while she did evil things, there was always a purpose that the Jailer provided. So, despite no one understanding her, she knew deep down that there is a bigger picture. Well, fast forward to 9.1 ending, and the Jailer essentially just pulls the rug from under her and removes this purpose, and then puts her into sort of a torture loop, which brings her into a state of coma. So now she's stuck with 2 pounds of her soul, where there is no longer that comfort in the bigger picture, and the other side is her soul calling her a monster, a butcher, just creating overall chaos inside her head. I gotta admit, this is a pretty interesting way to write a story. However, and a big however, there is a big, massive, glaring issue with this. What exactly is this purpose? Like, it would be cool if there actually was a purpose, but so far we literally know nothing. Sylvanas told us that this world is a prison and dramatically walked away, telling us that you are all nothing. Later, she told Anduin that we never had free will and apparently tried to recruit him to the purpose, so realistically, they built quite a bit of hype around something crazy going on behind the scenes that would make a whole lot of sense of this entire story as soon as we learned about it, and we would see that we have been living wrong this entire time. Now, I know what you may be thinking, but come on, stop, we still don't even have a 9.2 yet, we don't really know what is going on. However, as you might be aware, there is the PTR, and a lot of things have been data mined along with the purpose of the jailer, and guess what? His actual defeat. Yes, the genius 4D Master Manipulator Zolwal has actually been finally defeated. Do you know what his purpose was? To create an eternity of torment. So yes, this was the purpose. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, cool villain story and all, but how does that exactly explain that this world is a prison? Why are we nothing? And what does this actually have to do with free will? And again, how is this world a prison? And the answer is, well, it doesn't really have much to do with anything. In order to make sense of this, I think the angle that Blizzard is going at now is that they're really going the manipulation route, and that, in my opinion, is such an underwhelming way to continue this story. You know, this entire big picture thing, this master plan that Sylvanas worked on for a decade that we could simply not understand, well, all this was just a lie. There was no plan, and yeah, she was just manipulated by this genius. If this truly ends up being the case, you can see how that kind of nullifies any semblance of good writing and nuance that was in this entire split soul thing and what they kind of pushed in the cinematic. Unfortunately, I think this is the angle they're going to go towards. You know how Uther said that the jailer is a cunning manipulator and that he was just his pawn. However, why and how exactly is the jailer such a crazy manipulator? That would make sense if this was someone like Kil'jaeden that had a bunch of lore behind him, but this dude was literally thrown into for 2 patches, completely artificially introduced into old lore and very roughly retconning things, and we are constantly told that he is crazy intelligent, super manipulator, evil bad guy. However, literally everything we have seen thus far has been completely just straightforward. The only cunning thing he has kind of done is break down and mask Anduin to reach Bastion. Other than that, he just straight out attacked us, barged into Oribos, barged into Zereth Mortis. So this entire manipulator cunning story just doesn't really hold all that much weight. I think a big issue is that they're giving Shadowlands the Warlords of Draenor treatment, as in they had probably like 4 patches originally planned and this entire big storyline that was supposed to unfold, but due to eternal reasons or whatever else, they just completely have this expansion. So they just cut out the story, added a completely bland finish to the jailer, and now all these boxes that they opened in the past like 3 years make about 0 sense. There's a bunch of loose ends. This entire Sylvanas thing could only make sense if there was a lot more content. But speculation aside, here's a breakdown of all the latest questlines and what happens in 9.2. It isn't just my thoughts. The cinematic you have seen starts almost immediately and Sylvanas awakens from a coma. Everyone is kinda against her, but Bolvar and Uther realize that she knows a lot, so she essentially becomes a part of our crew, even though no one actually likes her. A bunch of filler stuff happens, but ultimately, we free Anduin with Sylvanas' help, still unclear how exactly. We gather memories to reforge the Helm of Domination into the Helm of Wills, unrelated, the lamest looking helm so far, and then Sylvanas boldly proclaims that the Lich King will never rule in Icecrown again. In between, a bunch of Sylvanas memories also occur. Now, with this helm, we are going to use this to resist the jailer and his domination, and my speculation is that this will be used as some super shield because we know that the jailer is actually defeated and there is an entire warlords of Draenor type celebration, as in finally we are now free from his terrible reign. However, Sylvanas in this entire thing is kinda in between. Obviously they're not going to just straight out redeem her and bring her back to Azeroth, but I think a soft redemption is incredibly likely. First is that during the quest lines, everyone is slowly kinda starting to trust her to help us, and then, you know, we witness her memories. Then she says stuff like, not a Banshee Queen, not a Ranger General, but always a Windrunner. Yes, we live in prisons of our own making. I will face whatever comes. The cycle must be broken. We are more than slaves to our torment. Ultimately, she also says, I found you before, my love. I will find you again, no matter how long it takes. More than likely referring to Nathanos, which is probably also going to be a big part of the story. However, as you might realize, her talking about us living in prisons of our own making or whatever is literally heading towards soft redemption. Honestly, right now, my biggest speculation is that Sylvanas is either going to become a Lich Queen to hold a hole in the sky she had created, or that she is going to sacrifice herself in the final fight that involves Azeroth. We know that there is some type of avatar of Azeroth, so something with this could happen where she volunteers to do the unthinkable, which doesn't exactly redeem her, but ultimately we will owe our existence to her. In my opinion, this is the most likely story, like a very scuffed Grom Hellscream. It is also possible that she faces some type of a trial, I don't discount that, but honestly I doubt we will just kill her or just get rid of Sylvanas. Why I think this is the case? Because there is also a data mine Tyrande line where she says something like, you did a bunch of bad things and I will never trust you, but you have my thanks for setting things straight. So yeah, Tyrande that went crazy to become the Night Warrior, almost killed herself, was searching her across the entire universe, is like, well, this Sylvanas character isn't so bad after all, you know, she was just manipulated. Understandable. Have a nice day. Overall, if it really ends like this, I think this will probably be the lamest culmination in all of Warcraft history, which is just terrible, and that Blizzard is purposely keeping things like soul splitting and the goal vague so that they can just wing it in whatever direction they want, as in, they're obviously now trying to make us feel sympathetic for Sylvanas, which is kind of ridiculous based on all the terrible things she has done over the years. However, for the true answers, we will have to just wait and see. Thank you for watching. Check out the next expansion Loon related by clicking on the screen, and check out Norrons Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.